crazy how it's built up as if when somebody is transgender, they they you know they know from a young age. You know what I mean? And I know that's how most of the cases go, but you'll see that in a lot of these videos. They think that, you know what I mean? They think that, oh, I've always felt as if I was in the wrong body, but they transition and everything just goes wrong for them, you know? I saw something that said that it has something to do with not being accepted in your gender role or something like that. So you feel as if that means that you're supposed to transition or something like that because you want to be able to do certain things and it's acceptable in your gender role. And you transition and you realize, wait, I was fine being the other gender. I should have just accepted how I was before. But after that, if you already took testosterone, you already took estrogen, it's too late, you know what I mean? But it really makes you think because there's a lot of cases like that and it's growing every day. And it really makes you think, because is that really the right solution to this issue of, and what I'm saying is it, I mean, transitioning in the first place, is it really the right solution to these problems? You know what I mean? The problem of I woke up in the wrong body. You know what I mean? Not woke up, I was born in the wrong body. Because, listen to this, these detransitioners, they had a problem, right? And they transitioned thinking that would fix their problem, but it didn't, you know? And I feel like it's kind of the same with transgender people. I mean, okay, because they say, you know, it fixes the problem and everything, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really. I'm not transgender, so I can't speak on this, but I feel like that's not, it doesn't feel like the right solution because the problem with them is that they do not feel comfortable in the body they were born with. You know what I mean? But you can't actually change your gender. You know what I mean? I mean, not gender, your sex. So you have to take hormones and do this and do that because you want to feel good in your own body. You know what I mean? Not gonna lie, I don't think I should have brought up the detransitioning so early because I kind of switched topics, but it doesn't matter anyway. So you do all these things to 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 switch your gender. I'm not switch your sex, and boom, you're fixed. But at the end of the day, wouldn't it just become, wow, I'm not this gender. Okay, let's say, I'm so bad at this. Let's say that a man wants to transition into a woman, right? Because they don't like how flat their chest is. They don't like how broad their shoulders are. They don't like all of those things. They don't like their penis or whatever. They transition, and now it's my shoulders aren't small enough still. You know what I mean? Oh, my new vagina is this, that, and the third. When will it ever really be enough? You know what I mean? Because every day a new surgery is happening with this facial feminization surgery, or you know, you can get breast implants, you can get all that. You know what I mean? Or in vice versa. You know what I mean? So at some point, will this list just become infinite about, oh, you need to change this, necessarily surgery, but just transitioning, and while obviously people transition in different ways, it's not really what you are. You know what I mean? I mean, because at the end of the day, gender expression and sex are different, of course. So if you want to dress a certain way, yada yada yada. But when I'm talking about this, I mean more when it comes to taking pills or having surgery to change this or that. At that point, that becomes really serious. So I think we as a society have to find a way to somehow, and I don't know how this would be done, but to somehow make it or make some type of way to cure gender dysphoria, because I feel like that's the real issue from what I've heard, and who knows, maybe I'm looking at this wrong. From what I've heard, it's always as if the issue is they were born in the wrong body. They suffer with gender dysphoria, but they just think they were born in the wrong body. But you can't be born in the wrong body because you were born in your body. You know what I mean? So if we as a society can find a way to cure that not wrong, that feeling of I'm born in the wrong body, then there would be no need for transitioning. That could save a shit ton of money. That could save the risk of being wrong. You know what I mean? People will think that they need a transition, but they don't actually have to transition. And it just, I think it makes it a lot, I think it's a lot better to accept what you were given instead of trying to change it, you know what I mean? I like to think of it in the same sense as plastic surgery, because imagine people in this world, they're born, and they say, I was born with the wrong nose. I was supposed to have a different type of nose. I look at that person's nose and I think I I I should have that nose. So they have nose dysphoria or something. But at least in American society, it's not completely socially acceptable to just go with that and be like, okay, you should change that nose, because you have nose dysphoria, you know what I mean? You're supposed to love yourself and love the features that you were given, you know what I mean? And learn to accept them. And while I know that's a lot harder for transgender people to do, I think that we could find a way, couldn't we? I wish that more effort was put into that, and I wish that people wouldn't stop. I want people to stop demonizing transgender people that much. You know what I mean? Because, oh man, that sounds horrible. That sounds like I want them to still be demonized. I don't mean it like that. Okay, what I mean is people treat all transgender people as delusional. But while I do agree with that in some ways, I don't think that's people act like transgender people are crazy. Oh, wow, why would you? You're so evil and delusional because you want to change your gender. How is that someone's fault? They're born that way. They're born thinking, or at least a lot of cases are born thinking, I want to be a different gender. You know what I mean? No, I want to. Oh my gosh, I keep saying gender. Sex. I want to change my sex. I feel as if I was born in the wrong body. So I don't think that's anybody's fault. And what I'm about to say transgender is a form of mental illness, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with saying that, because at the end of the day, if you're born, if you wake up one day and you say that you're a fucking dog, you know what I mean? I'm a dog, guys. I'm a dog. You know what I mean? You know, obviously there's something in your brain that is not going correctly. You know what I mean? Because you think you're something that you're not. In one case, it's you think you're a man when you're really a woman. You know what I mean? And you know, it's 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 not as serious as I think every other mental illness, but I think it should still be called that. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, that's what it. That's. I think it falls under the definition, because we can't just treat that like it's just a normal thing. Right now, I see being transgender as a mental illness, with the treatment being transition. But I think that the treatment should, excuse me, that the treatment should, in due time, eventually be some way to help a transgender person to accept the body that they were born with. Be it with, I don't think medication would work in that. That would have to be some type of therapy or something. I don't know when that would ever happen. I don't know if that would ever be possible, but if it would, I think that would be a better way to go. Because going back to the nose example, you know what I mean? We're taught a lot of times to accept what we were born with, because, you know, that's just what we have, you know what I mean? We shouldn't be trying to change what we have, and I think in a lot of ways it's the same with transgender people, because it's just, it's sad. It makes me really sad to see people hating, because that's a form of self-hate. You know what I mean? I watched this one video. I don't remember who made it. It was some guy. Well, they used to be a girl, but now they were a guy, and they were making some really good points about why kids should be allowed to transition, like the whole thing. You know what I mean? With the hormones and the fucking sex change. I still don't agree with that, but he made some really good points. But he was talking about how he was explaining everything, the chest binding and the whole, how they would get clocked as a transgender person, and it would destroy them. You know what I mean? If anybody even realized that they were binding their chest, it would hurt so much, because they hated their natural body that much. And if we as a society continue to just be like, oh well, just change it, then just change the thing that you hate that you were born with, I don't think that that is the right way to go, because you're hating something that that you naturally have. And I don't think the answer to that is to make something artificial. You know what I mean? If it's a man in this case, you hate your natural chest, so you're going to put artificial breast implants. I don't think that sounds right. You know what I mean? And I really wish I want somebody, because obviously my argument is fucking all over the place. You know what I mean? I didn't rehearse this. I just turned on the fucking phone and just went with it. You know what I mean? So somebody that disagrees with me, somebody that sees a weak point in my logic, please feel free to comment, because I would like to understand why I'm wrong, if I'm wrong. And I wanted to talk about also, like I mentioned earlier, the kids transitioning thing. Because a lot of people would say, no, that's ridiculous. They should wait until they're 18. But this YouTuber that I watched, I can't seem to remember their name. But the YouTuber, if I remember perception. You start thinking, wow, a lot of these transgender people are detransitioning. That's not true. It's about maybe 2.3% or something like that. Super, super small percent of people that detransition. And I don't know where this YouTuber got his sources from, but I think that makes a lot of sense